I was on private planes on Tuesdays, my day off, flying to the city, going on inside the NFL. What are you doing? Why? I got traded because of that.
Wow.
Right? And so now in sports, they're catching up where they're saying, no, let's let Odell Beckham Jr. be himself. Lamar Jackson just played in the playoffs with a whole grill in his mouth. That wasn't brand friendly 7 years ago.
I'm Gabe Oshin, and this is Boardroom Talks. Today, I'm sat with six-time Pro Bowler, founder of I Am Athlete, and now not just joining Revolt, but partnering with them to launch Revolt Sports, Brandon Marshall. Also joining us is CEO of Revolt Media and TV, Detavio Samuels. How boys doing today?
Amazing. Your fit's amazing too.
Yeah. See what that. Do it for you, especially.
You're right.
That's the first thing I saw.
Yeah.
Brandon, first off, you built I Am Athlete from scratch, founded it at a time when athlete-driven media was not really a thing, and you kind of started a movement. What did you see in the landscape that made you want to do that?
Purpose and platform, right? Like right now, you're here. I love it. It's amazing. It is the culture. But go back a couple years, there's certain networks that wouldn't let you on if you had that type of hairstyle. There was a network that told me when I was in the peak of my career right here in the city playing for the Jets, they were like, hey, we love Brandon. We want Brandon, but will he cut his hair? And in that moment, I said, you know what? I'm going to continue to grow my hair, and then I got to find a way to build my own platform. We started with a podcast that turned into a cultural social phenomenon. Then I saw the opportunity in, accelerating or incubating talent, right? Because where we started, people didn't know like who some of us were, right? But then it worked. And all it was us.
Yeah.
Like us. Like, no, these are just locker room conversations, right? This is what we do on the stoop in our neighborhoods. It's us. It's us.
At what point did you think this could be way bigger than just a podcast?
Yeah. It's bigger than me. It's too heavy for me to carry. I would love to stay independent and build out the next generation ESPN FS1 or Bleacher Report. Like, I would love to do that. But I can't by myself, right? And if you want to go far, you got to go together. Revolt, Disruption, Mavericks, Misfits, all of that, right? Like, that's where I belong, right? So the thing that I didn't know that I was getting myself into has been pretty cool is how much I was going to learn. Like, I knew I needed a partner, but I was thinking more from helping on production and then monetization. But we're talking about building a network, building a platform in sports. You have to have so many things going right and so many experts. So the team has been really challenging for us, right? Like, we're having some real conversations and we're really peeling back the layers on what this can be and how we grow it. And it starts small now. We have this one thing, but the extensions and the opportunities in the future is endless for us, right? Now we just need to have the right partners that can really invest not just money, but expertise.
Detavio, when did I Am Athlete and Brandon Marshall kind of like cross your path and you're like, okay, maybe we can do something with them in the future?
We're here today for a bunch of different reasons, but one of the core ones is Revolt is now ready to bet on sports. We're ready to bet on sports. We're ready to dominate. The culture and sports have always been tied together. The rest of media typically leaves the culture out, right? They want to sideline their silence. This is the moment where we give the culture the voice in the proper place that they belong. And so if that's the path to disruption, what better rebel to bet on? I mean, like, what better person to bet on? And so, one, to me, Brandon is he's a cheat code. He's a cheat code in terms of his knowledge of the game, his understanding of the game, his understanding of sports. He's a cheat code in terms of his access and his relationships. But he's an athlete. And so you'll often see Fortune 500 companies betting on athletes and military people because they know they come with a certain mindset. What I'm sure is that no matter how the game goes, this man is willing to put the whole thing on his shoulder and get it done, right? So again, if you're making bets and you have, not Disney type resources, you bet on the people who can get you over the finish line, right?
So I think it's like 90% of all female CEOs, they were former athletes.
That's right.
And I've spoken to the commissioner of the lacrosse league, and he said the same thing, that not only do they have the drive and determination, but they also have, the competitiveness. They're competing inside the organization every single day.
Now you add on streaming. Now you add on social media. Now you add on podcasts. We were already in a world where we were getting hundreds of channels of content that we didn't want or need. Now look at the world that we're in. You're absolutely right. I'm betting on someone who's going to try to play the game to win. You know what it takes to break through and win in this moment? You have to be competitive. You have to have discipline. You have to have what you see him doing, like the desire to get better week by week by week by week, the willingness to be coached. He knows a lot of stuff that I don't know. We know some stuff on our side that his team is like. You need someone who has that humility and who is willing to partner and collaborate and figure it out. And so absolutely, I think there's a lot of reasons why you would bet on an athlete. And I think he demonstrates that every single day.
We have to create an environment where our athletes are in their biggest moments and they say they're going to get it right. I trust them. I trust B. Marshall. I trust Kayla Nicole Brown, right? And they also just do it right. Like you think about, the branding and how we show up in different areas and all platforms. I want them to tell my story. I love how they did that photo shoot. I loved how they pulled up on us at school. Right? There's levels to it. And that's, what I'm most excited about in this space is, there's so many opportunities to co-create, so many opportunities to create, and it's how you do it. And I think that there's some people that are doing it, but when you see our product and our brand, I want people to be like, man, that's like Saint Laurent. Like that's my inspiration as a brand, right? If we're talking fashion, it's like, yeah, we can sit next to them, right?
Revolt is such a massive platform, particularly in Black media. What made this particular time so important to partner with Brandon?
Whether you're talking NIL or a million people tuning in to watch pickleball on YouTube, right? Sports is having such an incredible moment, and I love moments of chaos because when everything is stable, only the big incumbents win. When you have moments of chaos, even the little guy can win, right? And so what a incredible moment for us to try to step into this moment of chaos, because to his point, we absolutely believe we can go from start to number one. And so in this moment that we're in, with the president that we have, with the world that we're in, what a massive moment to leverage sports, something that is global, that reaches and touches the world, and try to use that as an opportunity to shift the world in the way that we want to see it become.
I love how you talk about basketball, taking our culture globally, right? Like how important, Michael Jordan and the Dream Team was for the culture. I mean, some people don't even think about the power of sports like that.
Yeah. What we're talking about is, one of the ways that I think hip hop and Black culture gets its kind of global hold is through basketball. It's through the Dream Team. It's through USA Basketball. It's through exporting the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants all across the world, right? And now the globe loves Black culture. All of that came through sports, right? And so we want to leverage that same energy, that same asset, that same power to shift culture in the way that we believe in.
And for me, I Am Athlete had an amazing moment during a time where we all were at home. And it was the first time that we seen brothers and football players being so raw. We've seen it a little bit in basketball, but not football. So seeing Ocho Cinco, Channing Crowder, Fred Taylor, us pray together, cry together, yell at each other, then laugh, right? People are like, what is this? That was just locker room. And so, very powerful, but there's a huge opportunity for Revolt, I Am Athlete, to really own this intersection. And I think about all the amazing athletes out there that may start here small, and then boom, you have other networks that come, they see it, and they partner with a network where now we keep talent.
That's right, we're the platform.
Like, no, you can tell all your stories here. No, you can monetize here. You have a team here.
So y'all describe Revolt Sports Weekly as raw and unfiltered. Do you think traditional media plays it too safe?
If I'm being honest, I think that they're figuring it out. I love Stephen A. I love Stephen A. There's been times where when I was on FS1, he would call me right when we get off. And I think he was watching because he might have seen some of my takes, and then he might, tweak it a little bit when I'm saying in football. I don't know. But what I appreciate about Stephen A., he'd be like, hey, why you say it like that? Why'd you do it that way? I'm like, wow, Stephen A's calling me and critiquing me and giving me constructive criticism on the skill, the art, the craft of it, right? But I say that because I love Stephen A and he's done so much for me. But now when you turn on, not just, ESPN or other shows and there's a place for everyone, I see our culture showing up, right? Like less suits and jewelry and sneakers, right? So, yes, there are people out there playing it safe, but there are some people conforming and understanding that we have to go that way. But that's been true in all these other areas. Look how we dress, right? Right? Look how we talk. Look at our music. Look at our food, right? So now it's trickling down to sports because sports is an institution. And I always say this to people, like a lot of times we're institutionalized. I was one of those guys that caught a lot of flack for doing broadcasting while I was playing. It was unheard of. Don't rock the boat, keep everything in-house. But I was on private planes on Tuesdays, my day off, flying to the city, going on inside the NFL. What are you doing? I got traded because of that.
Wow.
Right? And so now in sports, they're catching up where they're saying, no, let's let Odell Beckham Jr. be himself. Lamar Jackson just played in the playoffs with a whole grill in his mouth. That wasn't brand friendly 7 years ago. That wasn't brand friendly. I remember Chris Johnson came into the league. He went for 2,000 yards. There's only been 9 guys that do that in the history of the NFL, one of the hardest feats in football. And he had dreads, right? And I was like, dang, bro, you might be missing out on money because you got the dreads. Now they're embracing it. They're celebrating it, right? Sports, leagues, teams, brands now know that it's okay. Justin Jefferson is brand safe. He got the grill, he got all the jewelry on. We love it. The gritty, we love it. We need to continue to educate. And we do this all the time. Boardroom does it, right? There's so many other athletes doing it, but we have to teach our athletes what the business looks like, how to manage the process, because they can't continue to give it away.
Do you think it's ever too early to think about the business side of being an athlete or, all the different things that are available to an athlete? Because now we're seeing NIL deals for high school athletes. We're seeing podcasts from like a high school sophomore. Is it ever too early to be in that mode?
Yes, it's a process and it's different for everyone. It's case by case base. You gotta keep what I would say if an athlete was sitting in front of me, whether it's a high school athlete or a professional athlete, let's keep the main thing, because without the main thing, nobody's coming to watch, right? Nobody cared about Brandon Marshall that was catching 1 or 2 passes a game. But when Brandon Marshall caught 21 catches, they leaned in, right? So let's go do that and make sure that we move into the next thing at the right time. And you can do it. So when you talk about NIL and how that's trickling down to high school, now it's about team. And that's why it's important for a Revolt to stand up, because there's a team. Think about that, right? No. We love you. We trust you. We understand it. You know what we stand for. Disruption, the Mavericks, right? The Misfits. Think about that. That's our culture, right? But you have to make sure that you have the right people around you, have the right process in place.
Transitioning from being a top athlete at the top of the game to, your life after your playing career, what was the biggest, or rather the hardest, part of that transition for you?
The hardest one, someone asked me that question, I said something else and I can get to that, right? What you mismanage, you lose, right? So, I went to school to be an athlete, right? I wanted to play ball. That was my dream. There was no plan B. There was just ball. And so that's from a business standpoint, the last couple of years had to really understand myself and carve out a space for my leadership style and my management style. And so there's a lot of wins there. There's some losses there. But the hardest part of the transition for me was checking emails.
Yeah, no, facts.
Like that was the hardest part. So it's checking emails like, whoa, this is corporate America. This is business, right? Emails. So it was that, and then also setting my own itinerary, right? And I find that the most innovative and powerful leaders and CEOs, they operate like athletes, right? And so I was in a system, in an institution that told me for 20 something years what time to wake up, what time to go to practice, meetings, go to recovery, training, et cetera, et cetera. Now I have to create that for myself. And not only for myself, but then for my team. So that was very difficult. And it took a couple years to get into a place where I felt really confident and good about that.
Zooming out to the current situation with team ownership across, all leagues at this point, do you think we'll ever see, or how soon do you kind of forecast we'll see like a black majority owner of a team?
I think it's really easy for black people to be shut out. And so my initial answer isn't super optimistic, but I guess I go here. One, absolutely, some people will figure out a way to play the game and win. We've always done it since the beginning of time. It'll happen. But I also think what's really interesting in this moment is we don't just have to be the owner of an NFL team. That's what I'm saying about sports and this chaos. You could be the owner of a pickleball team and that thing grow to be like a pickleball league. You know what I mean? Like you could be the owner of a soccer league. Like there's so many other different ways to get ownership to in a league or something that is impactful globally from the world of sports. And so we're going to get to some ownership. It's the only way to play the game. So
you made over $80 million in your playing career, but you also said that being rich is not the same thing as being wealthy. Can you expand on that statement?
I have a tattoo here. It's BWSR, my first company I started. Built wealth, stay rich. Wealthy is what we just talked about, what you're talking about. Ownership, it's equity. It's participating. Rich is being an athlete, is creating a product. And so that's where I'm at now is, I see that 80% of our league is minorities and less than 10% of us are coaches, head coaches. And you go to the general manager position, there's even less. And there's 0 owners that are majority, that owns majority of the shares. So, I think that's wealth for me.
If you were running any league, NFL, let's say NFL, how would you change the ownership rules in terms of the barriers to entry or anything like that? Have you ever thought about what is we do talk about systemic issues. Yeah, we can talk about,
Can I be honest with you?
Let's go.
The life cycle of an athlete. You enter into the league, right? You become a star, or maybe not, but you have success. And then your career is coming to an end, right? So you're on the downside of it. And then you go into broadcasting, right? That's where it was when I first got it. Now we have people like KD or LeBron that's in VC or production and standing up companies. And so it's a little different, but majority of us look at how do I get into broadcasting, right? And now what's happening over the last couple of years is athletes are saying, I want to be an owner. I want to be an owner. Man, when I was playing here for the Jets and Giants, and I was walking into HBO and Showtime, and they were sitting there saying, we love you as a talent. I was looking at, how do I actually become head of Showtime Sports? Yeah. How do I, that's what I was thinking. Literally, right? Right. So my dream wasn't to become a owner of a team. I don't fantasize about that. I fantasized about running Showtime Sports. Sorry, Steven Espinoza, you hired me. Right. But that's what I was thinking about. I get in and then I want to be able to be in that position. And so I didn't think about ownership until 2018, 2019. And then we had that moment, right, in the pandemic. And that's when it was there's a new wave coming.
There's a world where we stop asking people to change the rules for us and let us in. There's no incentive for them to do that. And so then you have to realize what Brandon said, we are the leverage, we are the juice, we are the sauce. And so then you take that and you build somewhere else. Instead of getting them to change their rules, you rewrite the rules for yourself, right? And so, you look, I hope a whole bunch of us get into the league and, are owners in the NFL or NBA, et cetera. But I also hope there's a collective of people that see the world and the opportunity outside of that and start writing the rules in sports by ourselves.
That's right. And you're seeing it already, right? Like Tiger Woods and TGL golf.
Great example.
Right, that's one. Unrivaled.
Right, but yes.
Right, so Cam Newton, I see a huge opportunity for Cam, right? Like in 7-on-7, especially with Neil. Right? I hate talking about some of these things out loud. But
Yeah, can't give us too much.
yeah. But it's because he can do it. Nobody else can do it. He's been in this space for so many years. But to me, there's an opportunity there, right? Creating that.
Yeah, it's not just about creating their media companies, creating these, things that we can create our own space to be able to do things in any facet. That's right. How do you compete in terms of acquiring talent when, the major players are like, we got a bag? Is it a certain person that you look for in terms of like their mentality?
One of our big pitches is the rest of the world is not going to accept you as your whole self. They're not going to allow you to be unapologetically you. They're not going to allow you to show up in the way that you show up. One of our hit shows, Carisha Please, right? Carisha, if you would have taken that show to a lot of different places, they would have spent 1 year trying to train her to be somebody that she is not. Change the way she talks, change the way she dresses, right? You're not doing that at Revolt. At Revolt, we taking you exactly the way you came. In fact, you're here because we wanted that exact thing, right? And so that promise, we're here, you get to be yourself, and we're investing in you. I think that's something that helps separate us from the rest of the pack and other people who are out there.
Is there anybody in the league, whether it's, NFL, NBA, any sports that you kind of see like, oh, they have the right mentality for the way whether they're approaching their contract situation or the things that they do on the outside and like curating their team around them to like build in the right direction?
Sauce Gardner gets it. Von Miller gets it. Micah Parsons gets it. I look at it more from like a media standpoint. Athletes should approach their business as media entities and not as talent or brands.
Okay.
That's a totally different ballgame. It's a different business.
Wait, you?
No, I can't give you all the sauce. But there's a bunch of athletes out there. This is where we all have production companies. We're all creating content. Right now they need to learn the content business. And there's a couple guys out there that's understanding that. Sorry.
No. I mean, we'll wait and see. So, can you give me like a sneak peek of what we can expect from the products that y'all are going to put out?
Let me tell you the feeling that I want to create, right? I love the feeling of Boardroom.
Yeah?
But you know what the Boardroom makes me feel like? The Players Tribune.
Okay.
A safe place. Like the stories that you guys tell around, like you guys found y'all niche, right? Like, you guys tell so many stories in different lanes, but you own something, right? Players Tribune was created, right, for players to come and be safe to tell your story, right? But it did what it was supposed to do and it's doing what it's supposed to do, but at that time, we weren't into the video side of things. The feeling that I want to create is a safe place for athletes, like Boardroom, like Players Tribune, but for the athlete in their biggest moments, right? I want to go there first. B. Marshall and his team and any other contributor that we have on Revolt Sports Weekly, and as we grow, that they've done the work. They know my story. And they're also going to put me in position to share my story. When you go into other places, right, we lean into what? The gotcha moments. And I can go through so many examples in history, athletes, artists that's gone on those linear networks and channels that weren't put in the best position. We're going to have those same conversations, but there's a way like, teach us what's happening, what's going on, right? So that feeling that Players Tribune, Kobe Bryant, Derek Jeter created during that moment, it was special. I felt a sense of responsibility as an athlete. Like, no, I need to go there first to tell my story, right? Even boardroom, like, I know KD, but I have a relationship with Rich. If Rich was to ask me to do something, I would do it, right? Because he is athlete first, right? And so we have a huge opportunity, with Revolt to create that.
What people should expect that this is only phase one, that what we believe in as a strategy is that you plant seeds, you plant those roots deep, they grow up into trees, and from that tree, you will get thousands of branches that spin up off of it, right? This is a man with a vision that is grand, that is big. And so right now, what people are seeing is only the planting of the seeds, right? What they should expect is a whole lot more to come.
So with entities who have tried to do something similar, is there something that you've seen, like whether it's like market research as to why you think they might have like failed?
There's no failure until you're out the game, right? You're speaking like entrepreneur language, and there's no failure, right? Like,
It's a great quote.
even I talked about Players Tribune. The reason why I brought up Players Tribune is because they started it and there was a vision, right? We're talking about competing against the Washington Post and the New York Post and, Sun Sentinel. Who's telling our stories and and controlling our narratives of players? And they're able to bring that to life, and they won, they were successful, but then they sold.
Yeah.
Right?
I think there's a lot of amazing content that has died on the vine in the last 5 years, not because it was bad content, because the audience never knew it even existed, right? But another piece of it is understanding that the game has shifted to where the world is very social first, right? And that is like the number one place for discovery, right? And so every segment that they're shooting sure exists as, on a 44-minute linear TV show, sure can exist in compilation as an hour-and-a-half digital show, but they're also designed to win and pop at social in small clips, right? And so we get the clip game right, you get the discovery engine behind them, and then again, you put a dog behind it who's going to fight to claw and do whatever he can to win, like then you believe that you've got a good recipe for success.
And the reason why I lean the way I lean was because of the market. Like, we're in a watershedding moment right now in media. And every week is changing. Mr. Beast uploaded 450 videos before one went viral. Okay? You don't break through on YouTube. Like when you talk about market research and numbers, it takes 12 to 18 months of just being consistent. If you say you're going to drop that Monday at 12 o'clock, drop Monday at 12 o'clock and don't look at the numbers, right? Expect breakthrough at 12 to 18 months, right? So work with what you have and stay consistent, right? This creator economy, man, it's the hottest market, one of the hottest markets outside of like Bitcoin that you can invest in right now. Right, we're talking about growing 15, 16% year over year. So many opportunities, but you have to be relentless, right? You have to study. You have to surround yourself with the right people, right? And so a lot of opportunity.
Fellas, great conversation.
My man, appreciate you.
Detavio, Samuels, really appreciate you. Brandon Marshall, obviously. Thanks for coming up.
Yes, sir.
I'm Gabe Oshin. These Boardroom Talks. We out.